Well, good morning, church. We are introducing the book of Proverbs and really going to try to look into the book of Proverbs to gain the way we're supposed to live and how that living has positive results. And sometimes those positive results are your spiritual results, not merely physical results. Some physical results happen that are good and it's a blessing and it gives you security in this world. But the most important is the spiritual security that it provides you, the peace and contentment and the knowledge that I'm rescued by this God and I'm living in right relationship with Him. I hope you enjoyed those Bible Project videos. They introduced the book of Proverbs. So this young teacher who's full of enthusiasm and wants you to understand the world rightly. You have this critic who's kind of sitting back and saying, that doesn't always work out right. And then you get the rugged old believer, this guy Job, who has been through a lot and he understands a lot about the world. He's not perfect, but he's in this right relationship with God and God continues to hold him fast. There's something that was in the videos that wasn't prevalent. I mean, it was in there, but it wasn't specific. And so I thought I would point that out to you. In the book of Proverbs, this young teacher, she tells you that the fear of the Lord is the way to go. She starts in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7, and tells you that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and the fools despise discipline. And so you get this idea that there's the fear of the Lord that is necessary, and by that fear of the Lord, you gain knowledge. And then she says later in chapter 9, verse 10, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And you get this wisdom that kind of goes along with this knowledge. And what is that? Well, based on what it is, this fear of the Lord, you get knowledge. That is who this Lord is and what He wants and how He expects me to act. And so I gain all this knowledge of who He is, but that knowledge left there doesn't really do me any good. It is the fear of the Lord that drives me into practicing what it is that He says. What He says right, I have to start doing because that is what is right. And what He says wrong, I have to stop doing because that's what He says is wrong. And to live in this wise way is to agree with what God has said and begin ordering my life that way. And then even in, it says the fear of the Lord leads to understanding. And understanding is after you've been living in a wise way, you start to recognize in the world, whoa, that works that way. And now I understand why that works that way. And I understand that I need this Holy One that's coming from God, this Messiah that's promised. All of that you start to understand it. But the fear of the Lord is the base. The knowledge gives you the resources to start. And then the wisdom is your practical application of that knowledge. And then you start to gain this understanding that is of the world. And as you do that, you're living right with God. And it is an amazing thing. Now let me read to you, just kind of prove to you that is that. I quoted to you from the Proverbs, but listen to the critic in Ecclesiastes 12, 13 and 14. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Why? Because God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. All has been heard. The fool dies with the wise. Everything evens out. It doesn't always work out to be wise in your life, but here's the thing. Fear God and keep His commandments. It's better for you to do that. And then we get Job, and he says this, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding. And so wisdom, this practical living, comes from the fear of the Lord. And when I'm doing that, having the fear of the Lord and this practical wisdom, I gain an understanding about the world and start recognizing why it is the way that it is. Well, I didn't want to redo all those videos for you. I wanted to kind of introduce you into the ancient wisdom literature of the scriptures. And that is the book of Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, and the book of Job. There's also the book of Song of Solomon, and that's really love and how to handle marital love and those kinds of things. And we can maybe deal with that in a different video, but for now, it's just this wise living that's in the world. I wanted to show you how the book of Proverbs itself is broken up. The first 9 chapters are really the teaching of the fear of the Lord that leads to knowledge. And so in the first 9 chapters, the writer, Solomon, is showing you what true knowledge looks like. The knowledge of God, the knowledge of right, the knowledge of wrong, the knowledge of sinners, the knowledge of the righteous. And he gives you all of this knowledge so that you can start to see, I ought to live in a certain way. And then starting in chapter 10, you get these little pithy statements about how to live and why to live and those kinds of things. And that is really wisdom. This is wise living. And as I start to live wisely that way, I start to recognize, that's why that wise saying is true. And I start recognizing truth behind the activity of doing what is right and wise to do. And so that's how the book is broken up. We're going to start in chapter 1 and work our way through the first 9 chapters. I don't know what we're gonna do once we get to chapter 10. That may be a little bit different than what we do in the first 9. But we're gonna work our way through there. And so what I wanted to do today is read to you Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs chapter 1 to give us a taste of what it is that we're getting into. Okay, so if you have your Bibles with you, open them up and let's look. And I'm going to read the whole of it. It says this in Proverbs chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful garland around your head, or for your head, and a pendant for your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let's lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. And like Sheol, let us swallow them alive and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods, and we shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us. We will all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their paths, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood, and they set an ambush for their own lives. Such is the way of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessor. Wisdom cries aloud in the street, in the marketplace. She raises her voice at the head of the noisy street. She cries out at the entrance of the city gates. She speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I would pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refuse to listen, I have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded. Because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel, and despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their way and have their fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of disaster. That is Proverbs chapter 1. I'm not going to pull it apart for you today. We're going to get there starting Monday. But today, I'm just going to read that and leave what we've said, introducing the book of Proverbs with you. And then on Monday, we're going to look at the first 7 verses of the book of Proverbs. So read it, gear up with it. We're going to observe it on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to interpret what we've seen in there. And then Wednesday, we'll make an application for what we see in the first 7 verses. Tomorrow, I'm going to take you through a jet tour of the fear of the Lord. So come prepared, a pen and a piece of paper, and jot down all of these verses, and we'll look at what the fear of the Lord is. Okay, church? Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.